What's going on, guys and gals, and welcome to Good Real Hunting. We hunt for the good reels. You don't have to. It's your boy Brad. The Brett Man's right over here. Spider-Man No Way Home just came out this week, so it is time for us to rank the entire Spider-Man franchise. But we are just going to be doing the live-action Spider-Man movies, not including Venom. We just wanted to make it
Spider-Man Into the SpiderVerse.
But yeah, so we wanted to make this one kind of simple and just kind of where it all kind of, all these are somewhat connected, so it would be a little bit easier to rank these. I'm sure at some point we're going to do a grand one that all kind of works together, and Venom gets officially in there and all that kind of other stuff. We'll do a big ass freaking full ranking down the road, but this is just the live action ones, Birdman, and I'm excited to get to it.
Dude, I'm excited too. My list, I can't wait. It surprised me a little bit just because, well, it didn't surprise me too much, but I've been doing the Spider-Man Watch series with Chris Snyder, watching all of these Spider-Man movies, and my list has quite changed a lot. And just to let y'all guys know, right before we get started, if you want to pay attention to whatever kind of ranking videos we're going to do, or the ranking videos we do in the future, I highly suggest you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. Ding, 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 so you all can keep up with those ranking videos.
That's the bill.
Yeah,
man. Okay, so we're gonna go from worst to best here, man. You excited to start with the worst of the worst, which isn't that bad, but still.
Oh yeah, and I want to make a quick note. Even with the the official, with all of them together, there's not a bad movie. So all these are just, to me, they're just they're good all the way up to freaking amazing, and there's 8 of them. So I'm ready to go with number 8 if you're ready.
Let's go with it.
All right, my number 8 is going to be Andrew Garfield's first appearance as Spider-Man in the Amazing Spider-Man. This movie was really good. I think Andrew Garfield, just for me personally, is the best Spider-Man out of all of them, just in my personal opinion. That's just my opinion. That could be a say for another day and another video. But I thought he did a great job. Freaking Emma Stone killed it. Killed it as Gwen Stacy in this movie. Their dynamic, their chemistry is just so on point with this movie, and I'll even describe that there in another movie here in a little bit. And I thought the lizard was cool, even though I thought the lizard could have been refined a little bit better. I didn't like his full design a lot, and then there's some other issues as well. But I still have a good time with this one and enjoy Andrew Garfield's performance. So number 8, The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yes, Bert, I second that. My number 8 is also going to be The Amazing Spider-Man. It's going to be obviously Mr. Andy G's first appearance as Peter Parker / Spider-Man. I just thought this movie was kind of boring for me. It's one I rewatched the least often, I guess. You do the whole origin story again for the second time in just a few years, and the lizard to me wasn't that exciting. So for those reasons, it's in last place. Still a good time. There's still moments of niceness there, and some good action sequences. But at the end of the day, this one falls at the end for me.
Alrighty, and let me go ahead and go to number 7. And between 6 and 7, it's always going to flip back and forth. So this is just what I'm feeling right now. So my number 7 is going to be Tom Holland's debut as his second debut as Spider-Man with his full first movie, and that is Spider-Man Homecoming. The first half of the movie, I have a lot of problems with. It just goes really slow. Just too slow to my tasting, to my liking. But the reason for it is just because they're trying to do character development, but they were just really just dragging it down and taking their time with it. But when that second act, or just when the second half of the movie really hits, that's where everything gets going, gets really exciting and awesome. And of course, the Keats man, Michael Keaton, with a great performance as the Vulture, looking really awesome. And we also get one of my favorite Spider-Man shots of all time in the third act as well, when Tom Holland's Peter Parker lifts the parking garage and get out the rubble. That was just one of my all-time favorite Spider-Man shots, and actually one of my favorite moments in the whole MCU. So my number 7 is Spider-Man Homecoming.
So my number 7 is going to be The Amazing Spider-Man 2 here. Andy G's second appearance as Spider-Man. I thought this was better than his first one. I really enjoyed the introduction of Jamie Foxx and Electrode and all that fun stuff. It was a fun time. What I didn't like about it was the Green Goblin stuff. I thought, it was boring because we've already done it before, just a few years prior, a couple times actually. And you're just not going to top the Willem Dafoe version of the character. So I thought that was kind of a waste, and it just took a lot of screen time. And this friendship with Harry and all that stuff. There's a lot of boring scenes there, I thought, that really slowed this thing down. And yeah, for me, that's pretty much my favorite part was the Jamie Foxx villain, but the Green Goblin stuff I didn't like. I did like the character moments with Gwen Stacy and stuff in the movie, and the ending, while sad, was nice. It was a good change of pace, and it was nice to kind of go that route and do something unexpected.
Hell yeah, man. Let me go ahead and go with my number 6. That's just barely beating Homecoming just by a thread. And my number 6 is Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Mcguire. And yeah, it's hard to like decide. Like, it's I always go back and forth between this movie. As of now, I really do enjoy it. I'm starting to be more acceptance to Bully Parker, as what they're calling it now is Bully Parker, with the whole dancing and put some dirt in your eye. But it does tell like a really good story about Peter Parker, like his overconfidence is being his weakness and is leading to anger and rage, and how this movie exploits that. And it's just to show kind of what an evil Spider-Man will look like. And all of it is really compelling and all that too. And the Sandman stuff, I think it's actually really great CGI. Some of the best CGI I've ever seen in a movie. That's really acceptable. But just where is really negative towards me, it's just what they do with Venom in the third act. I felt like they could have done so much better with it, like with the look. And Tofi from that 70s show, he's okay. I just don't. He's not my Venom personally, so that is why number 6 is going to be Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, man, makes sense. Number 6 for me is going to be Spider-Man: Homecoming, the one you just talked about, and really a lot of the same reasons. I thought there was some pacing issues at the beginning. Took a while to get rolling. I loved Michael Keaton in the role of Vulture. I thought he was a highlight of the movie. And it was cool to kind of see that Tony Stark, Peter Parker relationship kind of develop, especially knowing where it ends later. It's a good starting point for all that stuff to go on. But I think this movie went way too far on the comedy side of things at times, and this movie felt like a spoof multiple times, where him catching somebody breaking into their own car and a lot of things like that. It felt really spoofy at times. So for that reason, it's this low, but it's still a really good time.
Alrighty, and from this point out, from 5 to 1 for me, I absolutely love these movies. So let's go ahead with the first movie I love for Spider-Man, and that is number 5, Spider-Man: No Way. No, just kidding. It is Spider-Man: Far From Home. There's a lot of homes, but yeah, Spider-Man: Far From Home. I absolutely love this movie. I just love the whole dynamic between Peter Parker and MJ in this movie. Just their first connection to seeing what they did at the beginning of the movie and Peter's whole big plan to woo her. It's just great. And I just fell in love with it. And Mysterio, Jake Gyllenhaal, absolutely nailed it as Quentin Beck, and just delivered some of the best Spider-Man scenes within all the Spider-Man franchise with Mysterio's illusions. Absolutely fell in love with that. Just where it gets a little weak for me is just the side characters, the friends especially. They got really annoying, and Ned was just really annoying. Flash, I've always hated Flash throughout the whole Tom Holland Spider-Mans. So my number 5 is Spider-Man. Spider-Man: Far From Home. There's a lot of homes, ladies and gentlemen.
There's too many homes, man. I can't handle it. But number 5 for me, cracking into the top 5, is going to be Spider-Man 3. They're the epic conclusion rather, to the Sam Raimi trilogy. I wouldn't say how, it seemed epic at the time, but whatever. Anyway, obviously, yeah, you discussed the issues with the movie earlier, but I still think this movie, there's a lot of themes going on with it, talking about, the rage, the anger, the forgiveness. That was a big aspect of it. And I thought that was really good. A lot of things were building to this movie in the first 2 Sam Raimi movies, which was nice. The whole Peter versus Harry thing could have been done better at the end, but it was still an interesting way to go. And yeah, I really did like the Sandman stuff. Obviously, the score was really good, specifically with the Sandman stuff and the scores we've seen before. Very solid stuff from Danny Elfman there. And yeah, man, there's some stuff that goes over the top at times, a little bit corny at times. I don't have too much of an issue with Bully Parker either. I actually find it very entertaining. I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye, especially now that they started doing those little deep fakes or whatever it is, where they put him into all these other movies, where he's duking. Yeah, Bully Maguire, dude, where he's duking it out with Darth Maul at the end. So all that stuff was fun. And yeah, it was good, man. It was a it was a little bit of a disappointing end note for the trilogy, but at the end of the day, I thought it was still a well-made film, and had some stuff to say in there.
Awesome, man. So, my number four, the one that started it all, that just made a biggest difference in not only in the Spider-Man movies, but just in all of the comic book movies that we see today, and that is the original, freaking Tobey Maguire's debut of Spider-Man, the first one. This movie, when I saw this at 12 years old, fell in love with it, and that's where it really just solidified my love for Spider-Man. They just did everything right in that one. They got MJ right. They got Harry right. They got Norman Osborn, Green Goblin right. They got Peter Parker and Spider-Man right. They even got freaking Bonesaw right with the Macho Man of Bonesaw is ready. But man, it was just such a great movie. It's such a great origin story for a comic book character, especially someone as epic as Spider-Man. J. Jonah Jameson, J.K. Simmons just knocks it out of the park. You can never top that. You can never replace him. Great. Third act is phenomenal between Spider-Man and Green Goblin. But just there's just parts of it where it just hasn't aged very well, so that's why it's gone down just a hair. So, but my number four is Spider-Man.
Right on, man. Number four for me is going to be Spider-Man Far From Home. You talked about it briefly already. I concur. Is a lot of fun. Mysterio was a strong point here, especially some of these moments of Mysterio versus Spider-Man. Their Duke sessions are very cool and creative and felt like a freaking video game in a good way. I mean that in a good way. And all that stuff was really cool. This comes off the heels of Endgame, and I like the continuation of the Marvel universe at this point. It was done really well, I think. And I think one of the negatives for me, I guess, was the comedy once again goes a little bit over the top, but yeah, I enjoyed it at the end of the day. I actually really enjoyed Ned in the movie, but Flash was annoying. So I agree with you there. And some of the other stuff, just kind of goes sideways here and there. But overall, really good time.
Hell yeah. And I agree with you on that, of course. And this is where a big disagreement is going to happen with number three. You had it low on your list, and I understand why. But number three for me is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Damn. If we're talking about like the best adaptation for a Spider-Man comic book movie, this is your movie right here. It has multiple feelings that Spider-Man has to tackle. He had to tackle a freaking Rhino. He had to tackle Electro, and hell, he even had to tackle Green Goblin all in one movie. So that is always exciting about seeing that. But what I really love most about this movie is just again, the chemistry and the connection between Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker with Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. I feel like they nailed it out of the park. They're actually my favorite Spider-Man couple without the entire franchise. And this movie is just so much fun. It has a lot of emotion. And we just get to see such an emotional and character-driven Spider-Man. So my number three is The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Right on, man. Yeah, man, there's some fun to be had there for sure. I can agree with some of that. Yeah, man, the freaking Green Goblin stuff. But anyway, number three for me. Number three for me at this point, man, is going to be Spider-Man No Way Home. I think it's a great flick. Had a really good time with it. Easily the best of the Holland trilogy, I think, without question. But I think I'm just such a huge fan of this Raimi trilogy. I don't think it's ever going to be topped. It could be. I'm not going to close the door to it, but there's just I'll talk a little bit more about those in a minute. But No Way Home was a great time. But the best parts of that movie, I thought, were the callbacks from the other movies, which means for me that I prefer the other movies. So at the end of the day, great time. Check out a review for it for our full thoughts. We'll put a link for that over Brett's head right over there. But really enjoyed this. Is, like I said in the review, this is a Spider-Man fan's dream. You get all kinds of stuff coming back and all kinds of worlds coming together, and it's just a great time. And a lot of great chemistry between villains and heroes, and seeing everything kind of culminate to this. But for me the character stuff wasn't as strong as I would like, and it's not as good as it is in the next two movies I'm going to talk about.
Alrighty, man. Let me go ahead and go with number two. And guys, number two and one for me personally are 5 out of 5 golden reels for me, and rightfully so. And number two for me, and this is right now. I will say that this movie I'm about to talk about is probably a better story, but it's not my number one just because this is just how I'm feeling right now. My number two is Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. This to me is a perfect redemption underdog story of not just a comic book character of a superhero, but just any character to me in cinema. Just because we see Peter Parker being at his lowest of lows, just everything going wrong, and then he just takes another step of learning about responsibility. Like, yeah, you're not supposed to get whatever you want, but you're also supposed to protect people if you have powers. You know, great power comes great responsibility. And it's just the third act, just with him just redemption, man. Peter Parker just being Spider-Man again. It's just so amazing. It's just the famous train fight scene between Doc Ock and Spider-Man, amazing. And freaking Doc Ock was amazing villain in this movie as well. I almost think he's almost just as good as William Dafoe's son Green Goblin. Just a little bit differences between the two. But number two is the Spider-Man 2, Tobey Maguire.
Okay, number two for me is going to be the original Spider-Man from Sam Raimi, the first one in the trilogy. I just love the world building here. Obviously, the introduction of the character of Spider-Man, the origin story here is my favorite of any superhero movie. Absolutely love the fact that he gets bit by the. I actually like the fact that he doesn't have the web shooters and stuff like that. I like the fact that the spider bite does that and all that stuff. It's really cool. Some great moments of comedy. I think Sam Raimi is great at that. It all lands pretty well in this movie. And it just kind of has a certain tone about it where it's a little bit goofy, but it still kind of works. And we see that throughout this whole trilogy. And, he does that so well with Evil Dead and all the stuff that he's done before. Like that's his forte. Um, and there's some nice horror elements there with Green Goblin. I think Green Goblin himself is absolutely perfect. My favorite villain in the franchise here. Willem Dafoe comes in with this strong performance. Freaking James Franco coming in as Harry was great. That friendship they have there that starts out here is great, but there's still challenges in the friendship, even as early on as this first movie, which makes it a more complex, realistic relationship, friendship, I guess, which you don't see that again really in the rest of the franchise. So I love that. And yeah, man, it's a perfect movie. The score obviously here is amazing too.
Hell yeah, man. So we're here. We're finally at number one, aren't we?
Yes.
Here we go. So my number one, as you probably have already figured it out, it's Spider-Man No Way Home. And yes, again, Spider-Man 2 did tell the better story. But to me, just that nostalgia of what the movie delivers for Spider-Man No Way Home, just it can't be topped for me. Just the theater experience and just everything I see, like with the movie, just made you laugh, it made you cry, it made you excited, it got you anxious, it got you just really tense. Like this movie just delivers everything to you as a Spider-Man fan. And Tom Holland's easily his best performance. Him is kind of like chemistry with all the other characters was really astounding. The third act, epic as all get out. And without going too much into spoiler territory, so I'm just going to stop right there. Just Spider-Man No Way Home is my number one right now. It could change down the road and after with more feelings and just dissecting the movie, it could be my number two and Spider-Man 2 being my number one. But just dang, guys, number one is Spider-Man No Way Home.
Woo! Number one for me is going to be Spider-Man 2, the one we just talked about, or you talked about a minute ago. A lot of the same reasons I talked about too in the first Spider-Man movie. It's just it digs even more into this world that Sam Raimi's built up. You get freaking J. Jonah Jameson. The one aspect about these movies I like a lot is the photography with Peter Parker and him trying to get into that, make some money so he can pay his rent, and the rent guy rent. All that stuff is just it's stuff that can't be matched in my opinion. It's stuff that's so unique and makes this world feel so on its own and so unique and so real, I guess, that it just, it stands out on its own, in my opinion. Doc Ock was absolutely awesome. The battles they have. And again, one reason I was so excited and enjoyed No Way Home so much is because Doc Ock's in it and all this stuff. But this is Doc Ock's movie. So this is why you're excited about No Way Home. And I think the story progression here about Peter Parker, trying to get to college and all the things that manifest when he's becoming a superhero, and him kind of failing classes, and his relationships with MJ are failing, and all this other stuff. It's real world stuff. It feels real. It feels he has a great redemption in the movie. He's back. Oh, my back. All that stuff. Yeah, that's great. And yeah, I just don't think that's going to be matched. It can be. I'm not close to the idea, but it to me, it's my favorite character movie of the bunch, and some of the best writing in the franchise.
Hell yeah, man. And I do not deny that whatsoever, because like Spider-Man 2 is like personally, like for the longest time, my favorite movie of all time. But just right now with just No Way Home, man, that's just my favorite movie of all time. Like it really is, just because of how much of a Spider-Man fan I am. Maybe when things calm down, it could be totally different. But until then, guys,
you're no longer invited to pizza time.
Oh, dadgummit. I love Pete. I love the Saw. I love Saw, guys. But so right before we wrap up this video, let me go ahead and do a quick recap of our list. So here they are. All right, so that is our list for all the live-action Spider-Man movies. Again, like Brad said, later on we'll do a whole bigger Spider-Man list of everything Spider-Man, and that will include Venom, Morbius, and Into the SpiderVerse, and maybe Across from the Spider-Verse when that comes out in 2022. So, Brad, anything last quick thoughts about like lists or anything Spider-Man related before we go home?
There is no way home.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting out here before you cause us more trouble. So guys, what did you all think about our list? Do you agree with our list, or do you have a different list than ours? And we are always happy to see different lists and be unique too. Like we even love the unique lists more than just the the blueprint list. Let us know in that comment section down below, and let's get that discussion rolling.
And if you want to help us find the good reels, you can do so by finding us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Letterboxd, of course.
Yeah,
those links are down below.
Yeah, they are, Daddy. And of course, be sure to pay attention to those podcasts, so Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as we're loading more content up to those podcasting devices. So stay tuned for that. And how can you help us with our channel? Be sure to like this video, share, and subscribe. And of course, ring that bell, ding, 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 so you all know what the next set of videos are up and ready.
Right, you are.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get on out of here, and so y'all can pay rent.
Rent? You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door. I'm going to put some dirt in your eye. How about some chow mein?